back in September of 1928, a lawn bulletin out of Marysville, Ohio, printed the cure for dandelions in your yard and told folks they could buy the stuff at almost any drugstore. 2 pounds in a gallon of water, and that gallon treated 860 square feet. That was the whole recipe. Then, in 1945, a bottle came along that was easier to sell, and that page went away. Today, I'll hand you that recipe back, where to put it, when to put it down, and half of the job almost nobody does. The stuff was iron sulfate, copperas, the old fellas called it, and it came out of the sack the color of rust. Geneva, New York, December of 1919. The New York State Agricultural Experiment Station published bulletin number 466, and 6 pages of it were handed over to one subject alone, spraying lawns with iron sulfate to get rid of dandelions. A man named M.T. Munn wrote those pages. So this was not a rumor going around over a fence. This was a state experiment station, in print, telling regular homeowners how to clear the yellow out of a lawn. 9 years later, that Ohio Seed Bulletin was still printing it for the public, and the following August, the same bulletin called iron sulfate the most popular weed-killing material anybody was using at the time, and said it worked especially well on the perennial lawn pests, dandelion, plantain, and that wasn't a crowded field. Go back before the 1940s, and the entire chemical toolbox for killing a weed came to 4 things: salt, iron sulfate, sulfuric acid, copper sulfate. Of those 4, exactly one of them could go on a lawn without leaving you a dead brown yard, and that was the iron. I'm Garry Strickland. What I bring you is old-timer lawn knowledge, the plain and patient methods the old groundskeepers used to keep grass thick on nothing but a mower and a coffee can of seed gathered from the accounts of how those lawns were actually kept and told the way a neighbor tells it over the fence. Simple, cheap, and nothing to sell you but the truth. The grass hasn't changed, the marketing has. So pull up a chair. Now, why does iron burn a dandelion and leave your bluegrass standing there looking better than it did? Go out and look at a dandelion the way a groundskeeper looks at one. The thing grows flat, spread out like a plate, a rosette of leaves laying right down on the dirt, wide open to the sky. The pest management people at the University of California measure those mats at 6 to 14 inches across in an old lawn. Everything that falls out of the sky lands in it and stays there. Now look at the grass growing right beside it. A grass blade is narrow, it stands straight up, and it has a waxy skin on the outside of it. Pour something over the top of both of them, and the grass sheds it, and the dandelion drinks it. That's the whole trick, my friend. A soup bowl grows in a field of drinking straws, and the man with the sprinkling can never have to understand one thing about chemistry to use it. And the grass doesn't just survive the iron. Iron is the very thing that makes grass green. Turf men still spray it today for color alone. So the same pass that scorches the weed hands your lawn a tonic. 1 application, 2 jobs, and that is why this method held the field in the bulletins right up until the mid-1940s. Now, everything I'm walking you through today is written down plainly in a book called The Old Ways, 50 Forgotten Lawn Secrets from America's Greatest Groundskeepers, because this is exactly the sort of thing those men knew, and hardly a word of it ever got written down. It's 104 pages of the small, cheap, patient tricks the old groundskeepers used over a lifetime of keeping grass thick, researched and set down in order before they're gone for good. Common sense weed control, without the harsh stuff, sits right there in part 1. It's written for a regular homeowner with no interest in a shed full of jugs. 1 book against a $40 bottle you buy again every single April. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So we left off with a weed shaped like a soup bowl. But where you aim the stuff matters more than what's in the jug. And this is where most of the money in America gets thrown on the ground. Folks aim at the flower. It's yellow. It's the thing that made you mad in the first place. So that's where the spray goes. But the flower is only the sign out front. The plant itself is the crown, that pale knuckle down at the soil line where all those leaves come together and go down into the ground as one root. That 1928 bulletin listed crown treatment right alongside spraying and alongside hand digging, and there was a reason it earned its own line. Get down on your knees, part those leaves with your fingers, and put the treatment where the leaves join. That's the throat of the thing, and understand what's underneath your hand while you're down there. University of Minnesota. Extension puts that taproot anywhere from 6 inches to 2 full feet down, and here's the part that'll turn your hair. That root can start a whole new plant from a broken off section of itself, which is why chopping the top off with a hoe is worse than doing nothing at all. All you've done is give it a haircut and leave the root down there fed and annoyed. If you'd rather pull than treat, pull after a soaking rain and use a fishtail weeder, that long forked knife with the notch at the end. It follows the root down without tearing up the good grass around it. That's straight out of the extension guidance, and it's the same tool the cemetery men carried in their back pocket 100 years ago. Now I owe you an honest word, because I don't hold with a promise I can't keep. The burn is fast. That part is real. Hit a dandelion crown and those leaves go dark and limp and ugly in short order. And you will absolutely stand there and see it happen. The root is a different animal. Golfdom magazine, April of 1928. A greenkeeper writes about clearing dandelions out of his rough with a tank rig on a tractor. He says once he had the equipment right, 5 successive sprayings, 2 weeks apart, killed 88% of the dandelions on the course. The only ones still standing were the very biggest. And he walked out and finished those off by hand with a weeder. Now, hear that the way he meant it. Not one pass. 5 of them 2 weeks apart, from a man doing it for a living with a tractor and a tank rig. So anybody who tells you that one afternoon and one jug ends dandelions in your yard forever is selling you something, and it isn't the truth. That has never been true, not in 1928 and not now. But there is a way to cut those passes down, and it isn't a stronger mix. It's a calendar. Spring is when you see them. April, May, that yellow comes up out of the lawn like somebody flipped a switch, and spring is when every last one of us goes out swinging. Spring is the wrong month. University of Minnesota. Extension will tell you the same thing, that late summer and early fall beat spring for knocking dandelions back. And once you know what the plant is doing down there, it's plain as day. In the fall, that dandelion is packing for winter. It's pulling sugar down out of every leaf and stuffing it into that taproot to live on until March. Everything is moving down. So whatever lands on that leaf in September rides the elevator straight down to the root with the groceries. In April, the traffic is running the other way. The plant is shoving everything up and out to make that flower and throw seed. You're pushing against the current. So here's the way the old-timers use their springtime, and it's going to feel wrong the first year. Come April, you leave the sprayer in the shed and take a walk instead. Walk the yard and note where they are and keep the mower going over the top of them so those seed heads never open. Minnesota is clear that mowing the flowers off cuts down the seed spreading. Though it will not kill the plant standing there, fine, let it stand. Mark it. Then come September, when the neighbors have all quit for the year and put the sprayer in the garage. You walk out to the spots you marked and you do the work. That's the kind of math the catalogs stopped doing for you. And hang on to that word, work, because the September pass is only about half of the job. What you do to the bare ground right afterward is what decides whether you are standing out there again next April. And I'll show you that before we're done. Tell me in the comments what your lawn is fighting right now and what state you're in. I read every single one. Now, some of you are already asking the practical question. Where does a person get this today? And here's the honest answer. That same iron chemistry is sitting on the shelf at the garden center right now, cleaned up and put in a bottle. They chelate it, which just means they wrap the iron so it stays put in the mix, and on the label it reads, Phi Hete. University of Maryland Extension has a whole write-up on those iron-based weed killers, and they point to Ohio State research out of 2012 where 3 applications at 21-day intervals gave excellent rapid control of dandelion, white clover, and ground ivy, and it held for as long as 70 days. I want you to notice something there, neighbor. 3 applications, 3 weeks apart. That is the exact same shape as the Greenkeeper's 5 sprayings 2 weeks apart back in 1928. 100 years of chemistry got the pass count down from 5 to 3, and it never once got it down to 1. Whatever they put in the bottle, the patients stayed in the job. A few plain cautions because the old fellas respected their materials, and so should we. Iron works best in cool weather, somewhere between 50 and 70 degrees, and Maryland warns off using it when the day is headed over 80 because your grass will discolor on you. Don't put it on a lawn you just seeded. Iron stains concrete a rust color that does not come out. So, if a granule lands on the walk, sweep it into the grass before you drive over it, and wash your hands when you're done and keep it out of your eyes. Most of all, whatever container you end up holding, the label on it is the law. Read it and check the current guidance before you put anything down, because what a product is cleared to do and how it's meant to be handled is printed right there on it, and that does change over the years. Now, set the jug down, because the next part costs you nothing at all. The old groundskeepers who kept the ball field downtown and the cemetery out on the edge of town green did not have a shed full of bottles. They had a mower, and they had a rule about it, and the rule was you never scalp. Cut it tall. North Dakota State University Extension says it plainly, that tall blades shade out the weeds coming up and keep them from ever getting established. And while you're at it, quit bagging your clippings, because those clippings smother seedlings and feed the soil at the same time. Maryland lists mowing too short right there as a cause of a dandelion problem. And UC Integrated Pest Management gives you the reason why that a thick stand of grass shades the soil surface, and a dandelion seed lying on shaded ground never gets what it needs to start. Now here's the number, and I'd write this one down. A turf pathologist with University of Missouri Extension points to more than 10 separate studies going back to 1958, all landing on the same finding. Mow a bluegrass or a tall fescue lawn below 3.5 inches, and you get a substantial increase in weeds, and the first weed they name is the dandelion. 3.5 inches, neighbor. Missouri puts the sweet spot at 3.5 to 4 for those grasses. Every notch you drop that mower below it is a little more sunshine you hand to the weed. That's the whole reason those old lawns looked the way they did on nothing but a rotary mower and a coffee can of seed. Those men were out shading the weeds, and it never cost them a penny to do it. Ames, Iowa, 1933. A researcher named L.E. Arnold at Iowa State College published a study in the Proceedings of the Iowa Academy of Science. He set out looking for a better way to kill dandelions in a lawn. He found something else on the way, and he wrote it down, and near as I can tell, almost nobody has repeated it since. Killing the dandelions, he said, was only the first step in controlling them, because while the plants were being killed off, you had to be pushing the lawn grasses along at the same time, or the seedling dandelions came right back in and filled the ground up again. Sit with that a second, neighbor, because it undoes everything the bottle aisle has been telling you since 1945. Every dandelion you kill leaves a hole, a little patch of bare dirt where a mat of leaves used to be, open to the sun, softened up, sitting there like a seed bed, because that is exactly what it is, and the seed is already on its way. Maryland puts a single dandelion plant at up to 15,000 seeds. 15,000 off of one plant. And UCIPM says that seed rides the wind for several miles, so it isn't even your dandelions you're fighting anymore, it's the ditch and the school field and the fella down the block who mows twice a summer. So you can win every fight and still lose the yard. You kill them in September, you feel good about it all winter, and come April there's yellow in the same spots, and you decide the stuff didn't work, and you go buy a stronger bottle. The stuff worked. Nobody ever told you that a dead dandelion leaves a door standing open behind it. Forever was never in the jar, my friend. Forever is the handful of seed that goes into that hole the same week you kill the plant, watered in, and mowed high over the top of it, so that by the time the wind brings the next 15,000, there is no bare ground left in your yard for a single one of them to land on. That's the half almost nobody does. Kill it in September, drop seed on the bare spot that same week, water it in, and keep the mower high over the top of it while it fills. That page out of Marysville had the killing part right 100 years ago. It just never printed the other half because the other half was never something a store could sell you. And that is exactly the kind of thing the old groundskeepers knew and never wrote down. And it's set down plainly in The Old Ways, 50 Forgotten Lawn, Secrets from America's Greatest Groundskeepers, from the first thaw to the last mow. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera and point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you will enjoy the video right now on screen even more. I can assure you on that. Click it right now, my friend.